So then, when they contact you, like, what do they ask you? Like, when they call you up on the phone, should they say, like, hey, I'm looking for prehab, I need to make an appointment for prehab? Like, what do they ask? Oh, Kristen?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And the term prehab, you know, we're talking about it, kind of defining it for our context that we're talking about it tonight, and that the term prehab is being used more and more for this kind of like preventative exercise to complement your performance training. But prehab can also be used in the medical world as terminology for like doing rehab prior to a surgery, things like that. So I think if you call up a clinic, a lot of PT clinics, and say I want prehab, it's often going to be initially interpreted as more of that, like they'll say like, what surgery are you about to have? Well, none, I'm gonna have a race. So it is something to probably kind of define what you're looking for as you call different providers. So PTs and sports chiropractors can be great people who have a good knowledge base for how to address these goals, but it is a little bit of a different role than how PTs and chiropractors work in terms of like typical clinic settings that service people with injuries, that's funded by insurance, things like that realm. Prehab function is a little bit outside of that. It doesn't mean it can't be seen there, but it is good to kind of specify when you're calling in. So saying like, I'm looking for a consult for preventative exercises for whatever sport you do. And a good thing to probably know about that is if you're healthy and don't have injuries or functional limitations, prehab visits are probably not covered by insurance. You can always check with your insurance to ask and see, but oftentimes insurance covers pain, injury, functional limitations, which many of us do experience and kind of power through. So if things are linked to pain and limitations for you, then a prehab visit could cover your specific injury that's happening, but you need to look at the full system as well. But if you're well and just trying to prevent injuries, we're definitely all about that and encourage preventative care, but the way the medical model and insurance system works right now, just to kind of have a heads up on that, that's a little bit different than the typical model there.
I guess to add on to that, like, insurance athletes, they all have pain. So if you want your insurance, if you want your insurance to cover it, the key is to just let them know what that issue is, and then say, I have got this race. Let them know as much information as possible, so they can go, okay, primary concern is this is what happened. I'm getting hip pain when I'm at mile 20, right, or whatever it is. So that gives them a cue that, okay, we got to address that hip pain, but they're gonna look at the whole kinetic chain when you get in and have that consult for sure.
Yeah, I think, I'm just gonna add something here. I think too, whenever you go to see a provider like us for any injury, our goal is to really not have you come back. And so anything you learn from a provider up here is something that you can use to apply in those preventative prehab states later on as well. And I work in a sort of a special capacity because I'm also a coach, so the athletes that I work with are sort of getting those things and working with me in that coaching relationship, and so I have the privilege of being able to manage their loads kind of consistently throughout the year and keep those things in line and kind of nip them in the bud ahead of time, so that again they don't have to go to the insurance model, which is just a special advantage that I have. Yeah.
And then Kristen, with you with the Alpine Training Project, I mean, you probably incorporate some types of assessments or movement or things like that in that program for the skiers, snowboarders.
Yeah, totally. So my kind of like particular wheelhouse is in ski injuries with the Alpine Training Project, and because we saw this kind of gap in, hey, there's so many people that want to be preventing ski injuries, but it doesn't quite fit in this model, but we have a lot of really important things to share from our PT background, like we're applying it for ourselves, all our friends and family are like, hey, what should I do? And so we wanted to make a program that was more accessible, so we developed an online training program that's more preventative, goes through like 3 phases of building up strength and endurance and trying to accomplish some of these goals. And it starts with a self-assessment that goes through and looks at some of the key measures that we've identified for skiing, specifically in terms of like movement and strength and endurance, things like that. So there are more and more online resources available, not just for skiing, but for other things as well. So if it's not feasible, for you to see a provider one-on-one, there are still resources that are out there to look at with some of these preventative goals in mind, for sure.